Hello, Internet.
Hello!
So, we've both caught up with the first volume of Season 5 of Stranger Things, and we wanted to share our thoughts on it and predictions for the show going forward.
Absolutely. There's a lot to take in, a lot to reflect on, a lot to speculate on.
So, I will, real quick, in case it wasn't obvious, spoiler alert for the first, 4 episodes of Season 5 of Stranger Things.
And depending on how accurate our prognostications are, maybe spoilers for the entire rest of the series.
I will not say that.
I did, though.
I don't think that's reasonable. Also, if you hear shuffling, it's because there's 2 cats in the room.
Not just one.
2. Dos. So, the first thing, and this is why I immediately gave a spoiler warning, that I wanted to address is the Kali reveal.
Yes.
8 at the end of episode 4.
Which I thought was fantastic.
Now, that stuck out to me because, I don't know if you remember this, but back when season 4 was airing, you had made a, not serious prediction. You would be like, it would be cool if they brought that character back so they could, trick Vecna because her whole powers are, she can trick you into seeing things. And we agreed that they would probably not do that just because that episode performed so badly.
No, it was tragically underappreciated.
So you can imagine my surprise when they actually did bring her back. And I'm assuming it's for something of that sort, considering there was so much build-up to revealing her returning.
Yeah, and I really thought that the switcheroo of simultaneously realizing that it was not Vecna behind the door, and sort of the happy mode, reunited with her, but then also the of realizing that means Vecna was unaccounted for right as he marches into the military base. I thought that was all a truly excellent little sequence.
See, that didn't even cross my mind because I was more focused on the fact that they brought Kali back, which I was not expecting. Because people did not like that episode in season 2. I don't understand why. I thought it was a perfectly good episode. I think people just didn't like that it was, separate from everything else. And a lot of people also didn't get the Dream Warriors joke of it, that the whole episode was clearly an homage to Nightmare on Elm Street 3. They did do a graphic novel, or a comic about Kali, I'm guessing to promote season 2, which I should read now, I guess. I've been curious about
something relevant again.
But now that she's actually back in the show, I guess I should probably read it. But yeah, I'm surprised they brought her back.
Yeah, because that's it. I actually wasn't crazy about season 2, so the fact that episode was kind of an island and the rest of it didn't bother me, because I actually kind of liked the energy it had more personally. But either way, I knew that society as a whole made their thoughts on that episode known, so I wasn't counting out, even though I thought that, due to her, powers and just her place in, the world, it seemed like that was a really big shame to not do anything more with her as a character and a concept. So I was very glad to see that happen. And I will also say that not only did I find that whole reveal and twist of it being her behind the door very, just very well done and really caught me off guard, but I was extra appreciative of how much I did not see it coming, because one of my, and this is not, to say this is a complaint would be overstating it. I've actually just loved this season so far. But I will say one thing that I just thought was a little silly was at the end of, I think it was the second episode, they tried to make it be this big, shocking thing. You mean Mr. What's-It was Vecna? Of course it was Vecna.
Who else
could it have been?
Right. I was
genuinely surprised they even treated that as a plot twist. I was like, of course it was.
She wrote the letter H, and I'm like, well, yeah. Why are we acting like this? You know what bothered me about the scene where they go and they check on Karen in the hospital?
What's that?
They don't say a goddamn word to her before they immediately are write down this super scary stuff while you're in the hospital recovering from nearly dying. They also didn't check on Ted, their father. And I'm like, so not only is it super shitty to go to this woman who has just gone through, probably the most traumatic thing to ever happen in her entire life, and immediately start demanding answers from her when she can't even talk.
She really did have a great hero moment there.
Right. And then also not check on your father. I don't know, maybe it happened off camera, but it still bothers me. It reminded me of how in the first episode, Dustin, disappears and nobody goes to check on him.
Yeah.
And it's can y'all not.
I do feel like... Okay, so I feel like season 4 and 5, thus far anyway, presumably it's just going to continue to trend in this way, have been much, like, bigger. They've been, like, really just, like, swinging for the fences and way more ambitious and just huge with everything, which I'm sure, and I feel like I've pretty much heard some people, that's not to their liking, but me personally, I kind of like Stranger Things going big. I've really enjoyed season 4 and season 5 so far. It does lead to some little messy bits here and there. Like, I do think there are parts that are absolutely messy. It's just, I'm okay with it because I enjoy the rest of what I do enjoy so much.
I will say, my least favorite season was season 3, and I think that was the most, like, middle bit of... They didn't go super big, but it wasn't like seasons 1 and 2, which season 1 was so small that it was almost entirely practical effects.
Yeah.
And then season 2... It was a bigger monster, but it was just kind of like the shadow thing that would appear a couple times throughout the season.
Yeah.
So it was still fairly small. And then season 3, they went for a big monster, but it wasn't as big in scope as the stuff happening now. So it was like, it felt weird.
Yeah, it's sort of, I do feel like season 1 was, like, everybody loves season 1, of course.
Season 1 was great.
Yeah, and I feel like season 2 and season 3, those honestly felt a little wobblier to me, just because, like you said, they're like, especially season 3 was just kind of like a transitional phase almost,
right.
While 4 and 5 are crazy, but I like it.
Yeah, I liked season 2 a lot, because it was before they forgot how to write Mike, which happened in season 3. They're slowly getting back there. I will say, season 5 Mike has been a lot more tolerable than seasons 3 and 4 Mike.
Yeah.
Which is good, because he was at one point like the main character and is still a major character. But yeah, honestly, the thing that surprised me more was Will having powers.
Yes, I thought that was very cool, and
that was probably so loud. A cat just jumped onto the phone that we're recording this on. Jesus. Okay.
So I honestly think that this season seems to have done a good job of really, like, finding a lot of good stuff to do for a lot of characters who in some ways kind of felt like they were a little meandering. Like, they sort of felt like a lot of characters, they really weren't kind of sure what to do with them, even since season 1 in some cases. Right. And I feel like in this one, it, varies in how great it is from case to case, but I feel like they've at least got something going on for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's, very admirable and just a nice change there. And I also think, too, that another thing about just season 4 and 5 that I appreciate is that, seasons earlier, like, had, threats and antagonist things that were, like, very sort of, like, unknowable, mindless, very otherworldly and everything. And I can enjoy a good, like, completely inhuman and unknowable villain, but that has to be done really well to not end up feeling just, like, a little simplistic and a little, like, just there's not much there by design. And Vecna, I think that, having a villain that can, talk and is more interactive and has more shared history and motives and all that kind of stuff, I really think that just, that adds a lot to the overall just scope of the story, and, I really think that kind of, in some ways, sort of, like, is why season 4 felt like a big leap over the previous couple, where the villains just sort of, like, there almost wasn't a villain, just, like, monster.
I would just like it to be known, unrelated to anything we're talking about, that one of your cats is currently burrowing his claws into the side of my leg. And please stop, cat. And it hurt.
Stabs are his love language.
Really badly. Oh my god. Whew.
So what do you think? And Vecna, I like Vecna, but I can also imagine some people, him being a bit of a love or hater character, because he really has completely changed the sense of and scope and style of the show in a lot of ways, just having this more personified, specific, knowable villain character. What do you think of Vecna and the change and all that kind of stuff that he brought along with him?
I don't mind him. I will say it does make season 1 feel a little bit weird because... Ow! Cat! Because they made such a big deal out of the Demogorgon in season 1, and how, like, Elle had to, like, sacrifice herself to get rid of it, and it was, like, this huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're just, like, killing Demogorgons left and right, and it makes the scope or the stakes in season 1 retroactively feel a bit dumb. Like, Mike's mom was able to injure a Demogorgon. Like, it retroactively makes that feel lower stakes, but aside from that, I don't really mind it.
Yeah, and I do definitely get what you're saying, and for sure, like, how dangerous the Demogorgons are varies a lot, depending on the needs of an individual scene, but I do feel like, for me personally, they've at least threaded the needle enough where I still feel like they feel like a credible threat, even if, like, obviously, you know, same sort of escalation from, like, the movie Alien to Aliens, where Alien was completely carried by just one monster, while in the second one, like, it was, like, a giant swarm of them and everything like that.
Right, like, it makes it retroactively feel like, man, maybe they were taking this a bit too seriously in season 1.
In their defense, that was their first spooky supernatural...
It wasn't 11's.
That's true.
11 should not have been that freaked out by one Demogorgon. 11 should have been chilling.
A mere one Demogorgon, a pittance of Demogorgon.
As opposed to the swarms of them in, say, like, the end of volume 1 of season 5. But yeah, circling back to Will, that threw me, because I guess it didn't cross my mind that somebody could gain those sorts of powers.
Yeah.
In some way. And also, I do find it a little weird that they just happen to be the same ones as 11. Because we know that not all of them have the same powers, since Kali had different ones.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, but I guess, like, you know, to me, I was okay with that. And I guess I sort of justified it as, like, you know, Vecna sort of has, like, you know, those sort of same, like, general psychic kind of powers thing. And I feel like Will kind of, like, you know, leapfrogged off of that sort of thing.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
I still it didn't cross my mind that one could gain powers.
It was definitely news to me as well when that occurred.
Especially because, like, this would have started way back in season 1, but it hadn't presented itself until just now.
Yeah.
At least in that way. So it felt a little bit out of nowhere, but it was cool.
Yeah, and I do feel like, you know, even though it was absolutely a retcon, like, Will needed something.
Will needed something
besides just being, like, the suffering boy.
The suffering little gay boy.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they have given him, like, a chance to actually, like, you know, get to have some agency and some power and something to do.
You know what I found both annoying and also funny from this season?
What's
being
that?
More overt about Will obviously being gay, is people being like, this came so out of nowhere.
Come on, guys.
Literally one of the first things in season 1 that is said about Will is Joyce is saying, oh, and Lonnie said that he was a queer, and Hopper's like, well, is he? And then she just, like, dodges the question.
Yeah, I mean, like...
And it's like... Or, like, all the bullies being like, he probably got killed by some other queer, and it's all the other fairies. And it's like... Why are we acting like this is the first time this has come up?
Absolutely. Like, this is a show that has a lot of retcons, but that ain't one of them.
Right. Like, it's been pretty clear from jump. That's what the intent was. I am glad they gave him and Robin a little friendship over that.
Yeah, I thought it was really beautifully done. I honestly found, like, their conversation down in the tunnels, you know, really, really moving stuff.
What I don't appreciate is Steve this season. I feel like Steve has been kind of reverting back to asshole Steve from the earlier show, and I don't like that, because I love Good Boy Steve.
I do love Good Boy Steve
and
as well.
I don't appreciate him being a dick, kind of for no reason this season.
It breaks my heart to see him and Dustin fighting.
Right.
It just breaks my heart to see that.
Or just, like, in general, him being very, like, rude, and it's like, Steve, baby, this isn't you. This isn't you, like the end of Moana scene where she's like...
Exactly. Somebody needs to pull a Moana.
Where she pulls, like, the Toothless and Hiccup scene with the giant island. That's what it's giving. It's like...
So just needs to put their hand on...
put their hand on Steve's forehead and be like, Steve, this isn't you. That needs to happen.
I agree. That's gonna be the climax of the second to last episode. Is gonna be that moment.
I need some sort of acknowledgement of characters from previous season, important characters from previous seasons that have died. Because I feel like that has very minimally happened. Mm-hmm. We had, like, an acknowledgement of Barb at one point, but then outside of the season that happens, that's been another thing that's bothered me, is there'll be some... Obviously, Eddie's gotten more acknowledgement because of Dustin, but for the most part, it'll be a big thing in the season that happens, but then by the next season, everyone seems to have just forgotten about whoever it was that died.
Yeah.
It's like, Bob... barely have heard anything about him. Barb we heard about, but it's like that one Russian guy from season 3, no clue. And it just keeps happening where it's like, aside from Billy, who is a multi-season character, so he doesn't really count, Barb's one acknowledgement, probably just because she was the first one and also a meme, and Eddie because of Dustin. There's all these other characters, and even other, like, one-off characters from other seasons that lived way shorter amounts of time, like Fred and Chrissy from season 4. No acknowledgement.
Yeah, and I feel like if you, like, you know, take in, like, in-universe, it kind of makes some of the characters seem a little cold to have moved on so quickly, and just looking at it as a show, it just sort of makes the seasons feel a bit too compartmentalized in ways.
Right. What are your thoughts on the Max stuff with this season?
So, first of all, you know, even though it's under very mysterious and strange circumstances, I'm glad that she's back, and I'm honestly very curious about that whole situation with that. So, did you want to get into, like, talking about the whole weird stuff of that realm?
I will say first, it bugged me that they brought her back to life in the end of season 4, specifically the way they went about it. Because she was in the hospital, they could have just, A, not had her die in the first place, or if they were going to bring her back, they didn't have to do it, like, immediately after she died in such a corny way. It felt like, I guess spoilers for the Disney Plus Goosebumps show that nobody liked, but it felt like the end of that series as well, because it's very similarly, a character was in a hospital at the end of the season 1, I'm not talking about The Vanishing, the first one, dies, character goes to the bathroom, does a stupid thing, he comes back to life, like, immediately, and it just feels like killing off a character for the sake of the emotional payoff without actually following through on it, which always bothers me.
I actually forgot that, I know she even, like, said it in the episodes that came out, but I forgot that she did even, like, legit full-on die.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I just sort of, like, you know, remembered it because it did happen so quickly that she just sort of ended up in a, you know, in a state, basically.
And it bothers me because they have such an unwillingness to kill off, like, main characters.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't even pretend if you're not actually going to follow through on it.
I would agree with that.
That is an issue that Stranger Things is very commonly criticized for, is its handling of killing off characters, but that bothered me. With her being back, honestly, what bothered me more than anything with Max has been how the other characters have responded to Holly being taken, like it's such a random thing, because it's not. Because in season 1, there's a very notable scene where Holly is being followed around by the blinking lights in the house, and they make, like, a big deal out of it. And first off, Joyce was there, so I don't know why Joyce is acting like this is out of nowhere.
That is odd, then. And
I also don't know why her parents are acting like this is out of nowhere. But also, like, the whole show, like, they even titled the episode The Vanishing of ... and then it's revealed to be Holly, and everyone's acting like it's such a random thing. It's not. Like, yeah, there's maybe other characters who would be more obvious, but it's not like this came out of nowhere. If it went for, like, Ted Wheeler, that would, A, be really funny, and B, also be a bit more out of nowhere, but, like, Holly?
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
And also, if he's going after kids, what's the one, like, little kid character? We have Holly and we have Erica. That's about it.
And I think Vecna knows better than to mess with Erica.
Right. Anyone knows better than to mess with Erica. So it's like, you're already had, like, nothing, like, nobody was gonna, who else would it be out of the main cast who's a little kid? And also, it's not weird that it's Holly, because Holly's already interacted with, I guess, Vecna in season 1.
Yeah. And yeah, like, it's almost kind of like the, like, Vecna being Mr. West. Like, who else could it have been?
Right.
There just aren't enough other, like, there weren't, like, any red herrings there,
Right. Like,
yeah.
What? Either Holly is seeing things that just for real aren't there, which would be a completely different story.
Yes.
Or it's Vecna. Like, who? What? Oh my god.
I will also say, too, that, with the show kind of being a bit of a kingmaker as far as, like, making Dungeons & Dragons boom in popularity beyond anyone's wildest dreams, and, Kate Bush, having this gigantic resurgence, I hope that this season does a similar thing for A Wrinkle in Time, because that is genuinely an amazingly, amazingly good kids novel. Highly recommend to anybody of any age, honestly. It's just a great story.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Kate Bush. Very funny. I liked that a lot. I like Steve and Robin working at a Radio Shack. There was something I was going to say. Oh, Max's handwriting is just a font.
I didn't notice that.
I know. Whenever the letter from came into Holly, I was like, there was something in my brain that I wanted to say because it was very specific. Whenever the letter came in, I was like, if it is Henry's handwriting, he writes like a font. Or if it's anybody else, that person's handwriting is just like a font. Like, it didn't even look like real handwriting.
That's
and I get they wanted it to look legible at a glance. I get that. But also, like, it looked computer-generated. Like, I would not be surprised if somebody just, like, typed it out and then traced over paper or something. Like, it did not look like... I don't believe you that Max's handwriting... I don't care how much time she's had in isolation to practice. Her handwriting doesn't look like that. I don't believe you.
And if somebody, like, really wanted to do some apologetics, they'd at least have an easier time if it really was from Vecna, because then it looking fake would sort of play into the whole fakeness of that setting.
Right. No, I saw it and I was like, this is kind of taking me out of the scene a little bit. I can't take this seriously. I'm thinking through all of the characters. I would like a follow-up on Ted Wheeler.
Yes.
Not because I like Ted Wheeler, because he's not a very good person.
He's not the best, no.
But, like, he did almost die, and we have gotten no follow-up aside from the fact that he's in the hospital.
Yep.
So I'm super hoping they plan to follow up on some level with that. I am curious to see how all of the different characters' storylines go forward. I am curious to see what they're going to do with Lucas this season.
I agree.
Because they've done pretty much nothing
I will
Lucas
say,
this season.
For all my talk of, like, them having a direction for all the characters that have kind of been lacking direction, I will say Lucas... Just because he is so tied to the Max storyline at this point, he himself hasn't really had much chance to shine.
Like, Erica has had more at this point than Lucas, who is supposedly a main character.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, they'll give him his moments before the end there.
They better. Because he is one of the original group. I'm thinking. Robin... They haven't had follow-up on her and Vicky, either. There's been a lot of things that they kind of have set up, and I'm hoping we'll have follow-through.
Yeah.
But it's Stranger Things, so you can never really be sure if we'll have follow-through.
But if any time, hopefully they'll stick a landing with the series finale.
Right.
This is the time to not just let things fade off.
If there's a bunch of unanswered stuff or open ends that should have been closed, I'm gonna be bothered.
Yeah, because this is their chance. And, like, Lord knows, Netflix has given them literally infinite money to make this season. And they've been spending an infinite number of dollars on this. Like, that whole sequence in the military base with the Demogorgons and then Vecna himself attacking, I was just kind of...
That must have been really expensive.
Oh, yes.
Especially, oh, man.
Yeah.
I cannot even
comprehend.
It stresses me out to even think of the number of how much that must have cost.
I will say one thing that, and I'm not going to say that this is like, again, this is not an actual complaint. It's just something that, like, maybe it's just they got a little carried away, in which case I found the scene cool, so I'm fine with it. Or there could be an explanation. But I will say that Vecna in the military base seemed way OP. He seemed way, like, he can do way more all of a sudden.
He also looks different.
Yeah, he's spikier. He's got those weird little extra...
Is there, like, a lore reason why he's spikier, or is that just a... in between seasons.
As far as the spikes go, my theory for that, before he started showing that he's like way tougher now for some reason, my theory was just that maybe like he had to regenerate from all of what he went through last finale, and maybe like, you know, he regenerated a little extra pointy.
He's like a Steven Universe gem.
Exactly.
He's exactly like a
there's no difference. He's my favorite gem.
He's my favorite gem from Steven Universe.
But I will say another possibility, and listen, this could completely explain it. Maybe the kids that he's got hooked up in the Matrix are somehow powering him up.
Maybe.
Exactly. I feel like that occurred to me. There could be that or any number of possibilities. And even if there was no justification for why he seemed way more powerful and unstoppable in that scene compared to other times people have tried fighting him.
Maybe he just locked in.
Maybe he just locked in. Again, I found that scene cool, so I'm fine with it either way.
Like, maybe he just super locked in between seasons. He's
also,
like, man, I gotta level up.
And listen, he kind of... After how embarrassing, honestly, the last finale was for the man, you can understand him feeling like really
I'm just
step
imagining him like doing push-ups in the upside
Yeah, bring a
down.
sweatband around his head.
I need to see art of this.
Yes.
I need, if anybody is listening, I need to see, you could at me on Bluesky. I need either an edit or a drawing or something of Vecna in workout clothes.
Especially his 80s workout clothes. That was the funniest decade for workout clothes.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see Eleven's outfit this season, which has been, oh boy.
Yeah. I will also say with the whole Vecna attack in this episode, the scene where he, like, did the big finger stabby all through that one dude's face.
Oh, yeah.
That was very gnarly.
That was upsetting.
That legit actually kind of made me like, oh, wow, that was kind of more gruesome than I was expecting, honestly.
I didn't love that. A couple more things.
Yes.
People are mad and arguing a lot because people love to argue about ships of Mike and Will. Some people seem to think that will become a thing, which I don't think it will. And also, more again, kind of stupidly, some people are like, why does he all of a sudden have a crush on Mike?
That's
and
so
it's
dumb.
like, he's always had. That's been pretty freaking obvious.
And even though, like, you know, I don't remember the seasons prior to 4, like, super well, season 4 even made it, like, I thought outright overt that he had a thing for Mike.
Yeah,
like,
I don't even...
Yeah.
Some people are just
That's very
stupid,
silly.
I guess. The reaction he had to seeing Robin and Vicky was really funny.
I agree. I thought that was really good stuff. And just, I genuinely think that those two characters, you know, Robin and Will, I feel like not only have they just both been handled well this season, but I think that they're good for each other as far as character writing goes. I think they bring out good, interesting sides to one another.
Yes. The other thing, they did another fake out Hopper death, and that kind of bothered me. Yes. It would already kind of bother me because I'm so sick of the show doing fake outs like that. But the fact this isn't even the first time for that character.
Yeah.
Because notably at the end of, it was season 2 or 3 or 4, one of them, they faked out a Hopper death. I think it was the end of season 3.
I think so, yeah.
And then they just did it again, being like, oh, he's gonna sacrifice himself. It's so tragic. They're saying their last goodbyes, and then like 20 minutes later he's back. It's like, don't piss me off. Don't even.
I will say Hopper, you can tell me your thoughts. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but I feel like Hopper in some ways is kind of the messiest character across like all the seasons.
You know what I think it is?
What's that?
I think he's shamelessly just Joel from The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've explicitly at any point said, oh, The Last of Us was an inspiration for Stranger Things. But if they said it wasn't, I legitimately just do not believe them because he's just Joel from The Last of Us. He has a daughter named Sarah who dies by some reason. She dies, and then he becomes this like hardened, bearded, like grumpy man, and then a kid named Elle comes along and becomes his like surrogate daughter. Like,
that's a lot of things to all line up.
Like, I think the reason it's so messy is because he's just another character from another franchise.
Yeah. And And also, too, like, they just have given him some, like, real, like, big swings, like the whole Russia thing and everything. And also, like, I will also kind of say that, like, I always find it a little silly when, shows and movies have, like, a dude who's, like, like, obviously, like, much older than all these, like, younger soldiers, but he still just, like, absolutely, like, kicks everybody's ass with, like, just nobody can match up to it. It reminds me, like, they would always have, like, John Wayne, like, beating up all these young people. It's like, I don't believe this.
I don't believe you.
Yes.
I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Now, there is one more point I do want to talk about, but it's kind of unrelated. So before I go on to that, did you have anything else about Stranger Things you wanted to
I think I would just like to talk about what you think the deal with the wall is.
Oh, yeah, I completely forgot about the weird flesh wall.
Yes.
Flesh wall was my name in high school. So, so I don't have thoughts on it, really. I did notice that when the one guy pissed on it, it was, like, steaming. So I'm wondering if there's, like... Is there going to be a scene where a bunch of them try to piss through the wall?
That's the final episode. Nobody saw the final battle taking that form.
I don't think that's going to happen. I love writing joking, like, fan fictions and linking them. In look in the description. There's going to be a nice little thing in the description of this video related to whatever I just said. But, yeah, I don't know. That was my only thought on it. Was, man, it sure was reacting when that one guy peed on it.
Must be foreshadowing.
I mean, they did keep pointing out the fact that he pissed on the wall.
There's got to be something to it.
That's my entire thoughts on the wall.
So my initial theory on the wall ended up getting pretty much disproven. My original theory on the wall was going to be that it was, like, an enclosed space as opposed to, like, being what's, like, around everything.
Yeah.
And I thought that the enclosed space was, like, the other side of it was just going to be, like, the little, like, idealistic fantasy realm that Vecna has created for the kids.
Yeah.
That was what I thought the deal was going to be. That does not seem to be the deal anymore. So now it's, like, a big question of, like, what could possibly be on there, and is what's beyond that wall maybe something that... So here what I think is not necessarily the most likely scenario, but what I think would be interesting, and there's just barely enough there for me to think it's worth bringing up as a possibility. So I think it would be interesting if maybe the rock, that sort of, like, big rocky cliff in the fantasy world, like, maybe, like, that's, like, sort of, like, the fantasy world's version or interpretation of that flesh wall.
That's what I was thinking when I saw the rock.
And maybe what Vecna was, like, when he was chasing Max, the reason why he wouldn't follow her through there is maybe he's scared of what's beyond there, and maybe the wall is Vecna trying to keep something out.
Maybe.
I think that would be cool and interesting, but as for what that could possibly be, I don't know. And I do wonder, like, could they really convincingly introduce a bigger threat than Vecna this late into things?
Right.
So I feel it's a little unlikely, but I still found it, like, an interesting thought anyway. But with that, I don't think I had anything that I specifically had in mind to bring up, so I am good to move on if you are.
Okay, so this is moving on. It is related to Stranger Things, but it has to do with Dead by Daylight DLCs.
Gotcha.
Notably, I've seen talk about them maybe making another Stranger Things DLC, but focused on Vecna, and, like, having him as a character, as a killer character. I have mixed feelings. I think it would be cool. However,
yes.
Firstly, there already is a Stranger Things DLC in the game.
Demogorgon is the monster, I assume?
Yeah, it's Demogorgon, and then it had Steve and Nancy as survivors.
Gotcha.
So first off, if they were going to do another one, they better have some more survivors to justify a second one. But also, there's already Dungeons and Dragons Vecna.
Oh, that is confusing.
Is a character in Dead by Daylight.
They're gonna have to call him Henry.
So, right. So it's like, if they want to have Vecna
That is very weird that they already have the D&D Vecna
Right,
there.
because that was the big bag they chose for the D&D one.
I wonder why they did that. That kind of seems like a limiting factor.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing the Dungeons and Dragons one might be older. I don't know.
Oh, like I'm sure the Vecna from D&D is older, but like D&D has so many possible villain.
No, I mean the DLC might be.
Oh, you think it might have been pre-Vecna?
I don't know.
Stranger Things.
Somebody can correct me if that's
something
wrong.
to look into. Actually, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
But yeah, I don't know. I found it interesting that people are talking
weird.
about it because I don't see it. I don't see how that would work.
I'm very curious to see them try to do that in a way that doesn't feel awkward.
Right. That's all I wanted to say is I wanted to bring that up in case somebody else would bring it up in like the comments or something. It was messy.
One final thing about Vecna I will say is I think he's a cool and fun villain. Also, he looks like Swamp Thing.
They need to have him sing.
They need to have him sing.
Because that actor is a theater kid. He was in a Sweeney Todd movie. He
seems like a theater kid now that you mention it.
He was in a Sweeney Todd movie.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Also, how happy do you think that actor is that he doesn't need to do as many scenes in that full makeup?
Probably very glad.
Because, God, that seems miserable.
Yeah. It's probably more CGI now, though, because of the changes to his design.
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, they might have even done that as like a favor to the actor because...
Probably.
Yeah.
Because, my God.
Yeah.
One more thing before we sign off. I did not like CGI Will at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
His eyes didn't look right, and he was weirding me out. Oh, hi. Hello, cat. Hello.
Also, I don't know whether Vecna is green or whether I just assume he's greenish because, again, he looks like Swamp Thing.
Green.
All right. Do we know for sure? Have we ever seen him in normal lighting?
We've seen the makeup in normal lighting.
And not green.
He's like gray and red.
Darn. Because I was hoping that maybe he could sing It's Not Easy Being Green.
No. Although now I want to see him dressed as the Grinch.
And I mean, new episodes on Christmas, right? This is all a Grinch retelling.
I feel like that one's a bit more of a hard sell than even
Vecna's heart is going to grow 3 sizes.
Pissing through the wall. They all piss through the wall, and on the other side, it's the Grinch, and that's his biggest fear.
Yes.
Sounds like a great theory with 0 holes in it.
And also an ending that would satisfy every fan everywhere.
Oh, I'm sure. Nobody would have...
Nobody would have an issue with it.
All right, now,
yes.
I believe we've hit all of the notes, so did you want to sign off?
I think I'm ready to sign off now.
Okay, so, if anything notable comes up, we might do another one of these after more episodes come out. If not, either way, you should subscribe. This isn't the normal content I do, but you should subscribe anyways. You should do it anyways.
Subscribe.
You should subscribe anyways.
Sounds like a good idea. I think you should subscribe.
Yeah. Also, on the podcasts section of my channel, there's older videos like this one about different series. We did some on Steven Universe and we did some on Infinity Train. So if that interests you, you can also go find that. Did you have anything else to say before you
No, I think I'm good with that.
Okay. Farewell and say hello to the 2 cats. Their names are Bonk and Mega Man.
Very good names, I'm sure you'll agree.
Okay, bye-bye.
Farewell.